Proverbs 4:1 through 5:23. Devotional focus verse. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life. Proverbs 4:13. Vera Maksimova was born in Ukraine on January 1st, 1930. When she was 3 years old, her mother abandoned her, so she was left with her father and grandmother. 10 years later, she and her grandmother received a notice that her father, who had been serving in the military, was missing in action and presumed dead. Although Vera grew up during troublesome political times in the Soviet Union, her grandmother taught her about Christianity. Church services were held in homes of believers who risked losing everything, their homes, jobs, families, and freedom, for their belief in God. At the age of 17, Vera was walking home after one of the services and praying silently when overwhelming peace and love filled her heart. She knew at that moment she was saved. She continued on with the Lord, seeking holiness and then receiving the infilling of the Holy Spirit. Because of religious persecution, she was water baptized in a river at night, although it was late fall and brutally cold. God made it possible for Vera to attend and graduate from medical college, and she was able to work as an emergency room nurse practitioner for 47 years. She married a Christian man, and they had 4 children, but when she was 55 years old, her husband was killed in a car accident. Vera continued to trust God, and in 1997 immigrated to Portland, Oregon, where she mastered English. She became acquainted with our church and loved volunteering in our mailing department. She also enjoyed Sunday school and church services. However, the challenges of life were not all behind her. She had a bout with cancer. In the face of suffering and pain, she held on to what she had been taught. She had a peaceful attitude and radiant smile, and was loved by all who knew her until God took her to be with Him in 2011. Vera took fast hold of instruction, and indeed it was her life. She heeded the teachings of her godly grandmother and passed this heritage onto her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. She understood that there are spiritual guidelines which we must observe for our soul's welfare or protection. In today's text, Solomon alluded to the importance of learning these truths, which he referred to as wisdom, good doctrine, and understanding, from our fathers and other godly elders. He reflected back on his own father's encouragement to seek wisdom above all else, and clearly wanted to impart that same principle to his hearers. Obtaining wisdom will require resolve and determination. We must purpose to hear the instruction and then follow through on what we hear. And we must consider the acquisition of understanding to be worth a lifetime of effort and unbroken vigilance. According to Solomon, the benefits of doing so are many. In our text, he points out that wisdom will preserve and keep us and will bring the favor of God and man. It will build a reputation for good judgment, offer protection, promote health and vitality, and will result in a long and blessed life. Surely those results are worth striving for, and Vera experienced them. We too can purpose to listen and learn, and then create a legacy of godly wisdom that we will be able to pass on to the generations who follow us. Background information. The instruction in chapter 4 is divided into 2 distinct sections, each dealing with the supreme importance of wisdom. In the first section, verses 1 through 9, the author reflected on his father's teachings and recalled the parental guidance and doctrine he had received in a loving home environment. While presenting the necessity of parents to instruct the younger generation, the emphasis is directed toward the youth, with the purpose of impressing upon them the importance of obtaining wisdom. Repetition of the verb get in verses 5 and 7 is significant, as the dual usage makes the injunction more emphatic. In the second section, verses 10 through 27, one of Proverbs' most dominant metaphors is employed, the illustration of a path. 2 possible paths of life are set forth in sharp contrast to one another, the way of wisdom and the ruinous path of the unrighteous. The picture is developed through a variety of carefully chosen words which extend the metaphor. These include verbs such as led, go, run, stumble, enter, pass by, turn, and fall. Within the ongoing theme of a path, two specific pitfalls are highlighted: violence and dishonesty. See verses 10 through 17 and verses 20 through 27. Also, in this second group of verses, the teacher pled with his hearers to embrace purity of life with the whole person, bringing out how the physical members of the body must participate in cooperation. The role of the ears, eyes, heart, mouth, eyelids, feet, and hands are all mentioned. He asserted that wisdom would lead to promotion, honor, grace, a crown of glory, length of life, and spiritual stability, a list which includes both temporal and eternal benefits. Chapter 5 addresses the topic of marital fidelity and the application of wisdom to the relationship between the sexes. In this section, Solomon described the types of individuals and behaviors which would lure someone down the path of destruction and the proper response to keep one on the right path. The strange woman, described in verse 3, is a morally loose woman, or adulteress, who represents the allurements of sin. Solomon warned that her words are flattering and seductive, but the outcome of association with her would be bitter as wormwood and sharp as a two-edged sword. See verse 4. He advised that only through instruction, understanding, and the application of wisdom could right choices be made to prevent being entangled in her web of deceit, folly, and ultimate death. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life, is a central theme of these two chapters. See Proverbs 4:23. They stress that diligence in obtaining wisdom is paramount, and diligence in discretion and stability is required in order to retain it. Conclusion. It is vital for parents and grandparents to impart a love for God and His ways to their children, but it is also necessary for children to exercise diligence in order to acquire and retain it.
Chapter 4. Hear, ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to know understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. He taught me also, and said unto me, Let thine heart retain my words, keep my commandments, and live. Get wisdom, get understanding. Forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. Forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting get understanding. Exalt her, and she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. I have taught thee in the way of wisdom, I have led thee in right paths. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction, let her not go, keep her, for she is thy life. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. For they eat the bread of wickedness, and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light, that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. The way of the wicked is as darkness, they know not at what they stumble. My son, attend to my words, incline thine ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes, keep them in the midst of thine heart, for they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a froward mouth, and perverse lips put far from thee. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not to the right hand, nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Chapter 5. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as an honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold on hell. Lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life, her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house, lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger, and thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, How have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. Let thy fountain be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breasts satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquity shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray.